Well, I'm joined now by Rachel Evans, Director of Countryside Alliance Wales, and Labour member of the Senedd, Julie Morgan, who was an MP at the time the original ban on hunting with dogs was passed in Westminster. Thank you both for coming in this evening. I'll start with you, Julie Morgan, because you remember that well. You remember how controversial it was.
Yeah.
Why now try and ban trail hunting?
Well, I was in Westminster at the time that we brought in the Hunting Act. As you say, it was very controversial. There was a lot of debate and discussion, and we brought it in on animal welfare grounds. And I certainly supported it on animal welfare grounds, and I'm very glad that we did it. And I think absolutely it was the right thing to do. But since then, it does appear that it is not working in the way that we would have wished it to work, and that the trail hunting has been abused and has been used as a way of...
In what way is it abused then? Because this is, just to be clear, this is either a quad bike or a horse running off with a trail scent behind it, dragging a cloth steeped in fox urine. You know, foxes aren't meant to be killed in that.
Well, the reports that we have are that the cloth is drenched in the urine and is not always taken for a very long way, that it is often used almost as a sort of cover-up for illegal hunting to continue.
Okay.
And this is something that the police have said that is not working.
OK, do you recognise that?
I recognise the rhetoric that trail hunting isn't working. We've heard that several times, but the reality is that trail hunting is a lawful activity. There are hunts across Wales and beyond that are taking part in this activity. There are over 10,000 days hunting in England and Wales annually.
OK, and do you acknowledge that there are some people abusing it?
We've acknowledged that there have been problems. We acknowledge that, but the majority of people are trail hunting lawfully.
OK, maybe you need to explain what is the attraction of trail hunting. Explain to a complete city dweller now who's never been hunting, maybe watching tonight, what is the thrill of following, a drenched cloth?
There's several elements to this. There are those who like riding horses, so it gives them access to the countryside, access that they wouldn't obtain unless they were a hunt member. And the majority of those followers then of hunts, whether that be on horseback or on foot, they want to watch hounds work. They want to watch them pick up a scent and to follow that scent and to hear them in full cry. The term used is the music, and they like to hear the music. It's also incredibly important to those socially. It's often only the time that they leave the house in the winter.
It's a day out. And I remember covering the passage of the first hunting ban in Westminster. It was always said it was about pest control. Be honest, the fact that you've found alternatives, it wasn't about pest control. It's a sport, it's a day out, it's a tradition. It's not about pest control, is it?
Not now, no. Trail hunting is absolutely not about pest control because that came in under the elements of the ban. It is a social activity, it is a traditional activity, but it's also one that's, it is embedded in the countryside. But you're absolutely right, it is nothing to do with animal welfare because trail hunting is following an artificial scent.
But if a fox gets caught up in trail hunting, that's the end of the fox, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's up to the huntsman to pull those hounds out. We live in the countryside. We are going to see wild animals whilst we're out in the countryside. It's up to that person in charge of the pack to pull those hounds off and to tow them back into line.
OK. Why not? It's a tradition. It's a day out in the countryside. This is a sign that maybe Labour doesn't understand the countryside.
Well, I think it's possible to have a day out in the countryside without putting animals at risk. And I really feel very strongly that all the evidence points to the fact that trail hunting is not working in the way that it was intended. Because, like Rachel said, it was brought in as a result of the ban in order to continue the activities that Rachel has mentioned. But as it's developed,
and you will ban it. You will ban it as a government.
In the manifesto in Westminster, yes.
Yeah. And if Keir Starmer were to have cold feet, you'd like the powers in Wales to ban it here?
Yes, I think it should be banned.
Yeah. What do you say to that? Because you're at war, more or less, with the UK government already over inheritance tax. As far, you say they don't understand rural Wales. If they do go ahead and ban this, What would be your response?
I think the countryside, not us as an organisation, but those living in the countryside already feel that Sir Keir Starmer's declared war, particularly with this budget. I would say that an attack on trail hunting and lawful activity is, again, going back to old Labour. They say this is new Labour and they've moved forward. It is not. It is still that class war. They want to see the end of horses and hounds working together in the countryside, and they are just penalising those people who live and work in the countryside and who enjoy that activity.
You don't understand the countryside.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly isn't a class war. I mean, the concern is about animal welfare. The commitment is for animal welfare. And that's certainly a very strong feeling in the Westminster government and the government in Wales. So I think these talks about trying to attack, ways of life in the countryside is not true at all.
We expect a big announcement from the Welsh Government in the Winter Fair next week. Are you going to give them a fair hearing?
We'll give any party a fair hearing as long as they're working for the countryside and doing things for the countryside rather than to the countryside. I am expecting to hear a positive announcement from the Cabinet Secretary for Climate Change and Rural Affairs. I think he has genuinely listened to the farmers, and we shall see what comes of it in the Winter Fair. It's critical.
Right. Well, thank you both ever so much for coming in this evening. Julie Morgan and Rachel Evans, thank you very much.